It
No.
still has that handle you have to turn if it's that, isn't it? Uh,
That's
okay,
right. Yep, like Mr.
I was just kidding about the district. Okay, yeah, okay.
Drucker.
And good evening. Good evening. You know, I'm going to be saying good evening because we're not used to doing morning webinars, Raj. You know, yeah, geez. You know, another thing, the drinks are all different in the morning. We're drinking coffee. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not. It's not even 5 o'clock somewhere. Yeah, but
Must
anyhow,
be.
yeah, we're just waiting for a minute or two. It's just about that time. Yeah, we had about 12 people signed up. Um, I heard that some of the Raj was saying, and I guess some of the laptops, maybe people haven't had them on for a while and they're updating, so there may be some issues of people getting on.
Oh.
So that might take a while, you know. So we'll get started, and as they join us, uh, you know, that'll be fine. Mr. Roger, you sounded very clear and everything. I think your problems have been solved.
Every single one of them.
Okay, you
I'm
can tell
living
this
the
is going to
dream.
be a very serious morning. Hey, why, why don't we get started, and then as people join us, they can join
Okay,
us.
I'm
You know,
gonna.
okay. Let me do this and the show. I'll change the presenter to you. Do you want me to change the presenter to you? Then I take it. What?
Sure, I have no idea what's on my screen here.
Shall I wait?
Your screen's on my screen. Let's see.
Uh, okay.
I'll show my screen.
Okay, I just did. And it
Then
says,
I'll
okay,
go
yeah,
there.
we're saying good morning. Yes, okay, we've got it. Hey,
Okay.
again, good morning, everybody. And Raj is going to introduce Office 3. This is Office 365. We're going to do a basic introduction, show you some of the tools and apps that are available in 365. And if you find any that you're interested in, why not take a look at some of the other summer webinars that we're offering and where we go into a little more depth on some of them. There are a couple of really important ones that we haven't scheduled, like OneNote and Teams, things like that. And certainly we want to uh, do a little bit more, a lot more with them this year. So with no further ado, Raj, thank you.
Okay, let's get rid of the ado. Oh, there it goes. It's gone. All right.
Is this the morning ado? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm not mourning it. Okay, and enough of those. Shall I mute myself?
Let's assume that basic, and probably not a fair assumption, really, that you have never signed in to Microsoft Office 365. Now, we're starting, I think it's year 4 of its availability throughout the district. Every district employee, everyone who has, every student within the district has accounts and accessibility to Office 365. You're looking at, these are fairly within the last year, perhaps even more recently than that. Microsoft has redesigned a lot of their basic application program icons. That's why you're seeing something maybe you haven't seen in the way of some of these previously, but they're still functionally the same programs that you have been familiar with for well, as long as you've been around, probably in the district. Microsoft Word probably being one of the very most often used applications, the basic word processing. And when we say basic word processing, that's come a long way over the years from just creating text on a blank page. There are an incredible number of new features and options if you're using Microsoft Word, as you probably already know. The next most frequently used program or application is probably PowerPoint. If you're in the classroom or you do any kind of presentation, display kind of thing, throwing things up on your smartboard or screen or whatever you were using, you very likely were using Microsoft PowerPoint. The next most commonly used one, and probably way down the list, might be Excel. And then more recently, in the last 2 years, there's been a big push in the district for really a major initiative is for the use of Microsoft programs, starting with OneNote, migrating to Class Notebook, which is a similar featured program. But the big one lately has been Microsoft Teams. And I wasn't sure when I first started working with this, the name of it, the Teams or Microsoft Groups, or it's a way of working collectively and collaboratively with a group of people, mainly, of course, in our arena, students in your classrooms, whether you're at the elementary or secondary level. You can create and have a team of people working together, working in smaller groups within that team, within that group, and so on. As Gene said, we're not going to deal with that at all today. Just to let you know that it exists. Some of you probably already work with it. It does take some time to understand what's going on. Well, you can be on, as a teacher, you can be on several teams. You may have a team, if you're in elementary, just that one group of students that you work with. That could be a team. At the secondary level, you may have 4, 5, or 6 classes. Each one of those classes or sections of a subject area, they can be a separate team as well, and things can be shared back and forth. So again, that's a lot to swallow if you haven't been working in that environment. At the district level, district offices are working on teams at the Board of Education. There are teams for various groups of people. There's a technology team, of which I am a part of. There are teams within the curriculum office, etc. So it's a different way of collaborating, it's a different way of working together, sharing things, and so on. Getting back to stage 1 here is we all have, as being connected with the district, official access to Office 365, and all of these basic apps, they don't call them programs anymore, and there are many additional applications, apps as well, that you have access to. The unique feature is that they are all web-based. They're all in the cloud. So you can access these programs anywhere that you can access the internet. Yes, your smartphones can have each and every one of these apps on them. Can't imagine working with a spreadsheet on a smartphone, but it can be done the same with any of these other features as well. Somewhere down the line, you'll notice Outlook. Right now, we are using Lotus Notes in the district for our basic mail, email, messaging, and some of the different district offices are using other features of Lotus Notes and so on. But there is going to be at some point a migration to Outlook. Those of you who have been Microsoft users for a long time may have already been familiar, or may be already familiar with Outlook as your basic mail handling program. It's your as a basic email, regardless of whether you have a school district email account, which you do. You may have a Gmail account, you may have a Ymail or Yahoo account, you can have any number of those accounts. They can be managed and handled from within OneLook. And again, that's an entirely different, probably better than an hour's worth of familiarity with it, but that's coming. The other big difference, as I mentioned, all of these programs are in the cloud. All of your file saving, all your file handling, everything you create document-wise will be stored on OneDrive. That's cloud-based storage. It's up there somewhere. Nobody knows exactly where or how, but that is where you will save your files. You still have the option when you create a file, you can locate the saving of that file on your computer itself, on your C drive, on your district associated drive, or on the desktop or anywhere else. But by default, when you're working in Office 365, Word, and so on, you will be saving it to your OneDrive. And here is the say a big feature which the district really liked, is that they're no longer storing things locally on a series of hard drives. They're no longer storing them on the BOCES computer somewhere up in West Seneca. They are, again, cloud-based. Every one of you has a 1 terabyte capacity for storing files, and that is a huge ability to save and store files. If most of you work within Microsoft PowerPoint, you're using Microsoft Word or Excel, you would be able to store millions of files created. None of those take up huge bits of space. PowerPoint might be a slight exception because PowerPoint deals with images and so on, which create a little larger file. But again, you should not be worried about filling up to capacity your ability to store files, create and store files, and access them. Having that 1 terabyte capacity available to you. The other really, I think, exciting piece is that because of our association with Microsoft and Office 365, you have the ability and permission to download this entire and use these entire suite of tools 5 times on 5 different computers within your family. This is true of each one of our students. Student comes from a household, mom and dad work in different places, not the Board of Education, and they each have a computer. They can each download the Microsoft suite of tools. And when I say download, that means put them on your computer. Down here, these are up on the cloud. Down here are installed versions of all of those same programs, installed on the computer that you are using. So here are, when I access Office 365 in the cloud, here they are down here. And yes, they can share the same document saving aspects. You can save to the OneDrive, whether you create it on this computer or you create it on the cloud. How do you get to this? I have created a shortcut where I just simply go and click this icon. I'm using the browser I'm using right here is my Chrome browser. I've created a quick shortcut that will quickly take me to and sign me into my Office 365 and automatically open this up. It uses that save password feature and so on. But this is where it's going. So if you clicked or went to this web address, www.office.com, you would be prompted for a username and password. It already exists by way of your association with Niagara Falls School District. The same login that you use when you go into school or go into your office and you sign on to the computer that's sitting there or your laptop that's been issued, when you sign on to the district network, it is the same 99.9% the same as what you use to log into your Office 365 account. So it's basically, it's your email, district email address, whatever it is, at nfschools.net. And then the password is the same password you use to sign on to the network. Note, a little asterisk here, when you are prompted to change your password, and this may have happened to you today, or it may happen in September when you go back into your buildings. It's timed out. I think it's somewhere around roughly 4 months or so. You're asked to create a new password. This is not the same as your email account. That's a separate password. But for this, your login credential for the district internet and the district network is the same, again, I'll repeat, the same as you would use to log into Office 365. You're visiting out of state, somewhere else on vacation, and your cousin, your uncle, your aunt, your brother, your sister, they have a computer and you wanted to show them some of this. You can log on to Office 365 that computer. That's not one of your installs. You can, because this is web-based, you can log into and then be connected up to all your apps and to your OneDrive and so on. Now over here, I mentioned about the number of installs that you have. You're going to see in the upper right-hand corner, Install Office 365. This is where you manage the different accounts that you have. One of your installs is taken up by your school district issued device. It might be a desktop, more than likely it is a laptop. So that's one of your 5. So you actually have 4 additional ones. If you have, again, devices at home, your own personal computers, you can install what you're looking at here on a home computer, and you manage that through the Install Office dialog box. So I'll click that and show you what's going on. And I go to Install, Other Install Options. This is to download. This is Other Install Options. And this is where you manage those. So I go into my account and install out. I click my account. Notice this. This is kind of the universal sign for download. I have 3 different installs used of my 5 allotted installs. So if I go to my install options, over here, here's that number again. Here's 3 installs. This tells me the name of the computer that I have used and installed Office 365. Now, this one is my school district computer. This one is a personal computer, and this one is another one of my personal home computers. And over here, you can deactivate them, or you have to put in the name of when you go to install it, you would be on that particular device, and the device, the install program would seek out the name of your computer. Sometimes you don't even know that you have a name for your computer, like this and this and so on. You can activate or deactivate them, which is the case if you buy a new computer or a new device. I don't want to say I've used all 5 of my installs, I buy a new computer. Well, you have to deactivate, very likely, the computer you're replacing, deactivate that account, and then install again the programs and so on that computer. So this is probably something you're rarely going to do. Maybe at the beginning of the school year, maybe you have a new device and so on. If the district issues you a computer, this will already be done for you. Again, this is my school district issued device. So when I received it, signed for it, and so on, Office 365 was already installed on it, as well as all of the network activation and so on, user ID and password and so on. So again, this is a very nice feature. I don't know, I'm not sure if the district knows or not how many accounts have been used this way. Each of the presentations we've done in the last couple of years, we've mentioned this. working with parents and so on who might need, say, a little more of a hands-on demonstration of this. But this is a nice availability. You have a son or a daughter going off to school. They can have the Office 365 programs. They're not getting Office 365, they're getting the programs installed on the computer for that. But Microsoft has made a lot of these off these 365. I'm going to get back out of this, go back here, has made a lot of these free to whoever wants to use them. I'm not sure what the conditions are. We have school editions and the Windows 10 Pro Business operating system here, but this is what you get when you get Office 365. Again, when you download, I'll show you very quickly because we're going to talk about probably the most often used features here. We're looking at Microsoft Word. I'll open it up here, and now it's going to open Microsoft Word, and now I'm online, and it's starting to look a little bit more like what you see when you open your probably more familiar version of Microsoft Word, which is down here. If I can put them back to back, notice the difference here. This you are used to seeing. It loads all the add-ins, all of the updates, features, and so on. This is the installed version. Another fancy word for the installed version is in the realm of computer is the client version. Client means the installed versions. So this is probably what you're familiar with. It'll show you some of your more recent files. What do you want to do? There are some templates and things. We'll touch on those just a little bit. So this is the installed version of Word. This is Microsoft Office 365 version of Word. I want to start a new blank document. That's most often what you're going to do. Or you could be opening one that you worked on and want to update and so on. Notice here, new documents are saved to OneDrive. That's the cloud-based version. If we go back into the installed version, let's click on a blank document. Now this is looking more familiar to you, isn't it? Here is, okay, I want to save this file. By default, this is document number 1. That's its name here, but if I want to save this, you're familiar with, you would say, okay, I want to save it as, where do I want to save it, and so on. Notice this option, where do I want to save it? It defaults to your OneDrive here, but you can save it to this computer, and where on this computer, or you can save it anywhere. Find a place for it. Just a little caution here, as working on these for quite a while. Keep track of where you save documents. The nice thing is when it shows you recent files that you worked on, it will also show you the location. If I was to open a previous file, you can view where it was saved. By default, notice I have a couple of different OneDrive accounts because I've had Microsoft Office of OneDrive. I can save it to a personal OneDrive, and I have it associated with some different emails. Defaults to the one that I use to sign into this computer, which is my OneDrive, and that's hosted by way of, goes through the network up to the drive and so on. But I'm not going to save this document. I'm just going to leave it blank. And here are all of your regular, probably more familiar tools within Microsoft Office. Same ones that you use, and the same ones that your students use, and so on. This is still called the ribbon, and It is a very busy place. These are still called tabs. If I go to, let me close that. If I go to a new blank document in Office 365, okay, I still have the ribbon up here. Notice that there are some differences. They are almost completely the same. The ribbon, the features, all of the capability that you have in Office 365 Word, working in the cloud, and the installed version down here are the same. The client version is, they'll use the word robust. It has a bit more capability. Microsoft's eventual plan is simply to make them all the same. There will be at some point no difference between the two programs. And there are a couple of things here. Notice here it says document 4. Well, unlike the client version, it said document 1. And it was. Okay, document 1. You know, this is document 4. And it's already saved. You do not have to go to a save as to save it. You can, but you do not have to. Microsoft Office 365 Word automatically saves every keystroke to the file as it is created. So what I do here, if I want to change this, I'm going to change this to, let's see if I can. It does have demonstration 1. Now that is the file name. And as I create any text here, it's going to automatically save it. Let's see if I can remember this. A quick way of getting text up there. You remember this, Gene, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. I didn't know you spoke Latin.
And you can do it. It also does it in English. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's RND. To probably, this is probably an error. Yeah. It's a way to get some random text. Now, the difference in the parameters, like in the parentheses, is how many sentences and how many paragraphs. 2 paragraphs, total of 3 sentences, and so on. But anyway, here is text. This is already saved. If I close this document, if the battery runs out, if I inadvertently X out, this file is already saved. It saves by keystroke. Notice here, some variations, the simplified ribbon. This is a little less busy than the one you were looking at in the client version. If I change that, let's see what happens. I'm not using icons here and so on, but these are still tabs. Notice this?
Yeah.
This is, what, again, the different view. Instead of them cluttering up here, and let's see if I can move this. This little push pin over here on the right, if you're full display, this little push pin locks in the ribbon. So now it's always going to be there. And I can do the same thing with the insert. Now all of the tabs are starting to look a little bit more familiar with you. Okay. So this is, again, our most familiar application, word processing program in the whole scheme of Microsoft products. And we've had Microsoft Word for a long, long time. You can save in different file formats. Gene's pointed out frequently. A lot of us work in PDF formats. A really nice not brand new feature, it's been around for a little bit of time, is if you open a PDF, when you go to File, Open, and I go find, let me see if I don't know if I can find a PDF very quickly. I know where some are. More drives. If I found a PDF, it would inform me that this is a PDF file and it is opening in Microsoft Word, and it makes it so you can edit the file, you can change it. Prior to all of this, you needed a very expensive, dedicated program. Maybe you could do it online to work with and create and open PDF files. Most of the time you had to create it, save it as a PDF, open the original file that was a .doc or a .docx file, resave it as a PDF. So you could update it that way, but you're kind of creating multiple files and so on. But you can, within this now, create and manage PDFs. The advantage with a PDF as a portable document format is that it can't initially be changed. It locks it in. Teachers use PDFs quite often, maybe for permission forms or for certain forms that they want to be filled in by people. They create a PDF, and that's what's downloadable. They look, they're easier to manage online if you're working through a website and so on. So you download the PDF. If I go to the file here, I want to, I'll say save as. Notice here, you download it as a PDF. I'm not sure what an ODT file is. I have to play with that, but download copies of the file. Download this as a PDF or save a copy online and do some of those other familiar options with that. But that's really a nice feature with that. Microsoft wants to be the operating platform, system, feature programs, etc., in education. They are a little bit behind the Google Classroom Suite and Google tools that maybe you're familiar with having used, or someone in your school is using them, whereby students can collaborate, share, submit things online. Microsoft wants to become that for schools, and it has a lot of really interesting, and pretty much a month doesn't go by where Microsoft hasn't updated or added a new feature within Office 365, in Teams, in OneNote, Notebook, and so on. Since we're basically talking about Office 365 and Microsoft Word, one of the things that it's come into more and more use, notice here, a dictate. If I'm going to put the cursor down here, and if I dictate, I'm dictating at default because it knows, but you can dictate within a different language and it would come out a different language. I don't speak anything other than English. I don't know what the difference is here, Jane. Maybe some of the OUR spellings, perhaps. But if I say dictate, now I'm going to click on the dictate button. Now it comes up here. Use your microphone. I'm going to give it permission. I hope it's using the one on the headset I'm using. Allow. Okay. We have a record button here. Well, now it's pretty much putting in every text as a text as I speak. I'll click the dictate button to off. And that's pretty quick. Now,
and it's pretty accurate.
Not bad. Look, it didn't. It spells better than I probably do, or at least types better than I probably type. It's fairly quick, you know, as I was saying the words. Now, again, I'm closer. Obviously, I can touch my computer. You're just watching it, but that's pretty quick. In a school environment, kids maybe do a handwritten draft of a story or a paragraph or a composition or something, they can get a clean typed version of it by reading it into a Microsoft Word document. It overcomes a whole lot of issues. Our kids are not adept at keyboarding yet, or if they ever will be. Where they get practice and so on, but most of the kids, and you walk around different classrooms, you'll see a whole lot of two-finger, right and left hand, hunt and peck kind of keying. We're trying to introduce keyboarding to them on a more regular basis and with little instructional interactive game kind of thing where they're using the home keys and so on. But this is a very quick way for students to get something on a piece of paper. But again, I would, having been an English teacher for a long time, I like the first draft issue. But one of the things that we do in the composing process, and you're all having your students write at some point, is have them proofread, have them read what they have written, and proof it from that. Notice there's no punctuation here. I don't know if it's going to assume end stop punctuation or commas and so on. But the nice thing here, now I'm going to put the cursor back here, and I'm going to go into, it's called the view. Now this is revolutionizing what's going on in the classroom. Again, here is all of our tabs. I click on the view button, and depending on, sometimes on the device that Office 365 is installed on, or what version of Windows you're working, you might see a slightly different menu. They're updating things all along for different levels, depends on how you get your updates, but what we're headed for is a feature called the Immersive Reader. Okay, I'm in the editing view now, that defaulted to that. If I go to the reading view, it changes, and so now all of my ribbon, etc., has changed. I'm going to go into the Immersive Reader, and look what's happened. My screen has changed completely. It looks like I'm an entirely different program. This program now, here's the play button. You probably won't hear it. I don't know if my, I'll turn up the, well, you're not going to hear it because it's going to play through my headset. But this is going to read in a somewhat robotic Latin voice this text. If I'm going to come down here, where I added it down here, let's see. I'm going to click on this word. Now it's in, we're going to play it from this point on in English. I'm going to play it. I don't know if you'll hear.
Well, we have a record button here. Well,
Yes.
now it's pretty much putting in every text. As a text, as I speak, I'll click the dictate button to off.
Okay, that's
Or
it.
if some don't
Raj, you've
Yeah,
changed.
you can hear
Your voice has changed a great deal.
I'm not going to say what I was going to say. But here, again, I click the little gear button. I can change to a, I can change it to a male voice. I can change the speed, the voice speed of the playback. And you'll see if you can hear it now.
Well, we have a record button here. Well, now it's pretty much putting in every text as a text as I speak. I'll click the dictate button to off.
Okay, so maybe I changed the speed a little bit. Students are going to have fun playing with these features. They can change the voice, depending again on the operating system. If this was if you're in a Spanish class and you have a whole passage in written in Spanish, it will read it in a pretty much bona fide Spanish accent language voice that you'll hear, and so on. Well, this is fun to play with. Notice it's not going to tell me. I've got a couple of features clicked on here. One is the dictionary feature. I'm going to go here. A picture dictionary. I can choose a language to translate the passage into, and you can do it word by word and so on. I can change the line focus. I can change the size of the text. I can change, if I want it to tell me which words in this passage are nouns or verbs or all of them. And I can even say show the labels. Right now, all of these are inactive. I'll just say, let's see what we can find. Let's say verbs. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it picked out of the verb in the color red. You can also control that. So if you're doing in a second language class, you're studying it from inside the grammar out into the language, this is very useful. Same in any, say, ELA class or anywhere you want to point out some things in a student's writing. You're emphasizing maybe adverbs or adjectives in that lesson in language and writing in ELA. Okay, Bobby, read what you wrote into Microsoft Word. Let's go into the immersive reader. Bobby, listen to what you wrote. And then, okay, let's see where all the adjectives are, what you think are adjectives and so on. But you can do this for all of these, for adverbs and so on. It gets very busy if you activate them all. And we show the labels. Notice here, I don't know how well you can see it, but above the highlighted text for pudding, the little letter V indicating that it is a verb, a noun, etc., an adverb, and so on. So this is a nice, fun feature as well. Some other options, you can increase the line spacing. You can change the font. I have Comic Sans there, but you can change that a little more legible perhaps for reading. I'm not even sure. Sitka is more of like a Times Roman thing. Let's keep it at Calibri. You can change the size of the font. Okay. In the grabber options, here are some more reading preferences. Again, translate the line focus. I can change the line focus to very narrow. This is a very powerful option for kids who have somewhere in the continuum of form of dyslexia. Focusing on a line at a time, or 2 lines at a time, or 3. You can narrow the window on that. So I'm going to turn that off. Again, my operating system is dictating some of my options here. It can let's go into the font. Let's see. There's another background option here. I think it might be down here. I want to look at. You can change the background. Notice for some reason research has indicated that, again, students with a reading issue, namely dyslexia, they're much more attentive, and it alleviates some of the symptoms, some of the issues, by having a dark background with white text on a black background. That changes things. We change the text size. It changes the line aspect and so on. So this is you can increase and decrease this, the spacing between words and letters and so on. All of this which would help some struggling readers. Some of our early readers want to do this, you know, in early primer reading text. It's large letters, big words, maybe only a couple of sentences on a page, and so on. So that can be replicated using the immersive reader. Microsoft used to call these learning tools, which indeed they are. So you have many options. This is revolutionizing a lot of what's going on in the classroom, working with students and creating text and so on. Then again, I'm going to go back. I'm going to, get rid of, I went back there. We're going to go back to my original text just by clicking a bunch of back arrows. You have all of the other regular, probably normal features that you use, highlighting text, bold, italicize, underlining, change the font, change the size of the font, and so on, indent, and so on. These are pretty high range of functions. In the early grades, not so much. Maybe highlight, maybe bold, maybe the size of the font, and so on. But you have all of the other features. You're going to insert pictures. You can insert them from an online source. If I want to insert an online picture, I click the little universal symbol for going to the internet, and I think it's going to default to searching Bing as it does. I would type in the search word that I want, and I can click, pick what I want. I want a birthday cake. I can say Creative Commons only. That's an issue for copyright, only if this is going to be used, displayed, maybe on your class web page, but I could pick all of these and so on. So there's some pretty powerful. There's a feature coming out. I don't know if you got that update yet, Gene. There's going to be like a research tab.
Yes.
And
yes.
You can do, and it puts in documentation of where you find references and so on. Online, puts them in as a header, or at the bottom of a page. Some very powerful features there as well. Okay, insert endnote. Boy, if these things had been around, Gene, when we were doing our undergraduate and graduate work,
we may have gotten up to a C.
I might be I might be a lot younger.
Yeah.
Of all the time I wasted with
carbon
paper and whiteout, and
you're
changing a footnote, retype the whole page. This is now just
it's
automatic.
Incredible.
Translate. I mean, look at the features. We can't. This is very basic here now. With again, you're familiar with Microsoft Word in its basic downloaded form and so on. What we want, and again, right now you're looking at the online version, Microsoft, the Office 365 version of Microsoft Word. And again, we're comparing it to the client version. Here's a dictation tab. This is similar to over here it said dictate, but in the view there is a difference on where you find the immersive reader. It's not even on. I'm trying to find it here on the installed version, which hasn't been updated. Mail merge, etc. So that again, that's the most basic tool in our Office suite of tools. Go back to our, they call this, I don't know, the chiclets or the grid. I want to see all the apps. There are more apps available. If I just go here, I can go into, let's go look at the Office 365 apps. I want to get, okay, I go back. There,
hit the
they
on the top
show
right,
up here, and then up here, if you do that, you'll go back to ground zero, ground one, where you came into Microsoft Office, the entire suite of tools. We're going to be talking in the subsequent webinar about some of the newer features in PowerPoint, and we will be alluding to the O365 PowerPoint versus the client installed version of PowerPoint. Pretty much the same. There are very few things that you would need to use one versus the other to accomplish. Touch on a little bit of Excel. We're going to talk about Sway. Sway is a presentation program. Simpler, fewer features in PowerPoint, but it's a very quick, easy tool to present. You're starting to see a lot more of it available because they're quick to be able to create, insert images, managing, and make a nice, pleasant presentation. A lot of people are, want to move out of PowerPoint into some of these features here. Forms is going to be a very quick survey tool. You've seen some of these within the district already if you participated in the late May, early June technology survey. That was all created using forms, and we're going to spend a webinar on that and how you can use it in class to assess students' basic knowledge of a topic, or use it as a quick summary, a quick check for understanding, and so on. Flipgrid. Gene, I know we've been looking at a lot of this.
And that's just brand new.
Well, it's brand new to Microsoft. It's not a brand new tool. Microsoft
No. But I think they just updated it to make it even newer. And when I say
it's got a ton of features.
Yeah, they updated.
I want to spend. I don't even think we have a webinar.
No, we don't. We need to do this.
Scheduled for that. But this can be a game changer in your classroom. We talk
it's
about
great.
Collaboration and sharing out. With many of the classrooms now having the latest equipment in their classrooms, it's going to make this a really fun, useful tool. I've been playing with it for a while, but they came out with a host of features since Microsoft has kind of taken it over, and it's a free tool. You don't even have to have Office 365 to use it, to mess around with it, or in your classroom. And so you just go to flipgrid.com, do a search on it. It's here, flipgrid.com, and mess around with it there. But it's a screen sharing. Kids record themselves, maybe in response to a topic of discussion within the class. Maybe you're doing some class research. It's got a whole lot of features there, and they're increasing monthly. When ISTE was held in Philadelphia back towards the end of June this year, they rolled out numerous features with about Flipgrid and some ideas that I think you would find exciting for use in your classroom and so on. And we've talked about some of the other available tools, but this is pretty much a hot topic anymore within Microsoft, and how now notice I've made it one of my apps. Here in my basic selection, there's it says all the apps. So these are all the available apps that I'm going into, kind of like a store, and I can pick a number of other apps. Some are already here that have been added, so you don't have to duplicate those, but you can create task lists, to-do lists, and so on. There are some other features that we want to talk about. You notice Flipgrid. Kahoot is another one that we have done some webinars on. Kids love it. It's highly engaging. I'm gonna, we've done some things with that in the past as well. It's one of the apps that you can add into your basic toolbox using Office 365. So, Gene, I don't know if you want to add to any of this.
No, just, a couple of minor little things, but to make things easier, Raj, I noticed that in your extensions up on top, or extensions up on top, you have a link, the little with the red dot there. That will take you right to your, no, up on top.
Oh, up here?
Yeah, this one. Yeah. See where you have your OneNote? the second one to the right. What I'm saying, what I was trying to say is this. Sometimes getting into that office.com, going in there, logging in can be hard. Raj has put a link at the top of his page, which is good. But there's also, if you use Chrome, you can actually add an extension to Microsoft Office that will show up at the top of your page there, right where the address line is, to the right of the address line.
I'm still not
Raj, can I show you, if I may? May I take the screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What I'm saying is this. Let's say we're here. By the way, I will have to talk about this page too. Notice this right here. If you click here, this will take you right to your Office Online. And you can add this into your Google Chrome by going to the App Store. Oh, that's my apps. I'm sorry, not the App Store. There's an App Store somewhere here. I don't even remember where I put my App Store. There it is, Web Store. Okay, if you go to the Google Chrome Web Store and then just type in Microsoft, it will show you this app, and it will add it to your Google Chrome. And when you click on it, once you've logged in, you can almost go in, click on Word as Roger has done before, and there you're in a little bit quicker. So that's just a real quick way of doing it. You know, just another little thing that you can.
Just as fast as we haven't mentioned it, and we should, if you use the Edge browser.
Yes. Yes.
Because Microsoft Edge is a Microsoft product. If you use the Edge browser and just simply, after you've signed into your district laptop, you go to the, obviously you'd have to get to the Edge browser, and you just simply navigate to that Microsoft site, you're automatically signed in.
Yes, and I think Chrome is starting to, I've noticed that at home too. I'm logged in, and I've noticed Chrome seems to be taking that too. Hey, one other thing real quickly before we go, and I messed it up because I went to this page. On the school district site, if you forget where was that login again? If you go to Staff, Technology Resources for Teachers, there is an Office 365 resource page. And if you go to that page, the first thing we have right here is the URL, the logon that will take you to log into your Office 365 online. So, and how to do it, okay? And also we put in a Flipboard. I'm having some trouble because I've got things here too. A Flipboard here for all that will have a lot of different resources that you can use and find to help you with the various tools, applications in Office 365. And with that, just wanted to show you one last thing. We only have a couple minutes. Gave you a quick, brief outline of the tools available that, but would like to just show you that. Oh boy, why don't I go to the right side? If you go to the Teacher Resource Center, you'll see that what we're trying to do is offer now some specific webinars aimed at these particular apps. Okay, tomorrow, for example, Microsoft Forms. This is the one that we can do assessments, surveys. Really useful, really easy to create, share with the students. It does a lot of great things. Basically, you can actually have it correct and coordinate all the grades, put them on an Excel sheet for it. We'll show you that tomorrow. How do you use that OneDrive that Raj talked about, the terabyte of information? And terabyte is like 1,000 gigabytes. Huge amount of space, as he mentioned. Okay? And the second hour tomorrow, we'll be talking a little bit more about Microsoft Word, both the online and the installed version that you can use, and that some little other tricks that Raj touched on a lot of great things. We have some other ones that you can. So these are just some of them. We talked about Sway, and we'll be talking about that in an upcoming PowerPoint. Publisher is another program that is, I think, vastly underused, and it can be very, very useful for teachers, and and students can use it too to create some really good projects, documents, so forth and so on. And also, we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do with Excel and use it for teachers. So those are some of the webinars dealing with the various apps that we're going to be using, and hopefully that you'll be using in your classroom this year. So we thank you for joining us. It is now the magical hour. In an hour, you will be getting a thank you. It'll say it's from me, but it's actually from GoToWebinar. And there should be a link in there to a real quick, I think, 2 or 3 question survey, which I threw in there. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, please put them there. If you'd like to know more about a certain topic, please let us know so that we can get back to you and maybe help you out. And with that, we'll say have a nice day. Hope to see you tomorrow or another time. And if not, have a good rest of your August. Raj?
Ditto. Have a great day.
Okay. And with that, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye now.